All right, thank you everybody for coming out. I appreciate it. I know you guys are busy and have a lot going on. I'm Jesse Sims. I'm the chair of Tech Talk, so I work to put these together, and Linda helps out. She does a great job with that, so thank you. I appreciate it. Today we're talking about virtual engagement. I know this is a topic a lot of libraries have been looking at. And so I decided to have Janene Van Leeuwen come talk with us today. She's our Entrepreneurship and Outreach Coordinator for Buckeye Public Library System. And she does a great job. We work closely trying to use technology to facilitate access. A lot of it is for small businesses as part of the entrepreneurship outreach. They're very busy people, so we're trying to find different ways to leverage technology to take advantage of that. So I'll let Janene take over, and thank you for coming today.
Awesome,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate you having me here today. And hello to everyone out there. I do a lot of presentations. I love going around, and I used to be a teacher, taught for 6 years, did admin for 4. Been doing education and outreach for the past 10 years. But I'll tell you, getting ready for this training today, I was nervous because I'm in a room with tech people. And so I'm like, Jesse, are you sure you want me here? Because I mean, gosh, you are the tech minds. You're the innovators out there. And really, you are the true essence of what the subtitle here, that helping us make using our modern day technologies to make modern day libraries. So I hope I don't disappoint. I will share what I know from my story. I like to also refer to what I'm doing a little bit of the MacGyver world of virtual engagement. Let me see what's around me, and let's try to use it, because at some point it is going to start to flow, working with different people, connecting and engaging. We can do some pretty incredible things. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I did warn Jesse too. When I heard what I was doing here, I'm like, that's great, I'll present, but I'm looking really forward to learning and hearing what you're doing, because I'm probably going to borrow or check out a couple of your ideas. So if that's okay, we'll go with that. So I'm going to start. I kind of went back and forth on, you can see several quotes that I've pulled. I'm working on my master's right now for technology, education, learning, and technology, and I've been finding some research ones. And this first quote, I put it at the end, I put it at the middle. At one point I said, don't even put it at all, I'm going to offend somebody. But I think it's a very important piece of research that has come out, and I want to start with this. Only technology makes it less needed to consult directly with a librarian or walk into a library. Thank you. Pause for effects. A couple things stand out to me. Do we hear this statement often? Have we heard it?
Yeah, sure.
It's a reality. To me, it's like, I don't want to hide this, because the minute we hide it, we tell this to our business people when I work with them. You have to truly identify the problem to find a true solution. To me, this is the problem that exists in our world today. We know it. We know that libraries are amazing. We know that what we do is incredible, but we really have to look at it. The other thing that really kind of concerned me is right here. What year was it? Last year. This is very recent. And so if this is what they're thinking out there, if this is what's being said or being talked about, we really do have a job to do. We have to get innovative. We have to think, how, we know we're relevant, but how do we stay relevant with what's happening in the world? And hopefully by the end of today's presentation and other stuff that we talk about, discuss, brainstorm, we know there's ways out there. We know we're relevant. How do we connect with our patrons out there to make it so? So if people are thinking that way, I pose a few questions. How do we change their view? How does that change? How do we show that the value of what we do and what we offer is based on these emerging technologies? Where is that value? How can virtual engagement change this view? How is it already changing it? And finally, and I make all of our entrepreneurs, tonight I have business classes, and we will start right here. What is your purpose? We remind them every day, what is truly your purpose of your business? If your doors close tomorrow, does it matter? Why does anybody care? It's a tough question to ask, but it's an honest one. If we keep that honest question, we know there's a good purpose. We know there's a true purpose. So having that dialogue and conversation, and especially as it relates right here, for us in the tech world, virtual engagement is an awesome purpose today, and how we wrangle that and what we do with that. I want to throw up another one here. They're talking about Web 2.0. I'm sure you guys, in your vocabulary, verbiage, everyday talk, I'm sure you talk about it at dinner and lunch. No, okay. But with Web 2.0, when it signaled, we got the internet. It was amazing, and we got to connect with people in different places. I actually get to take credit. I went to a small school in Columbia, Missouri. It's the second oldest women's college, Stevens College, and I get to say I was the first student, freshman year, first student ever to write my entire research paper using online material. Now, I say this with pride, but at the same time, the reason why I did that in Columbia, Missouri, when it was November and it was about -10 degrees outside, this was just me more saying, I'm lazy, I'm cold, I don't want to go outside, and look at this technology that just came about. And it literally was our first year there, it was about 1995. And so I'm like, this is awesome, I could just sit right here, warm, right? I don't have to walk, I don't have to go to the library. But the world changed, and then in 2000, it wasn't just that we're connecting you with all the information, it's now about the engagement, it's about the interaction. It's no longer a one-way conversation, it's a dialogue. So how do we engage our patrons in that dialogue if it's the world that they've come to expect? It's not just, here's your Britannica online, here's your newspaper online, read it and put your info here and we're done. People expect to engage. So today, these are kind of the areas we're going to be looking at, and this follows what we use in our business classes. In fact, I think below your Hive, it's called the Business Model Canvas. They'll have this, but starting with the why, we'll talk about the how, the resources, what costs are there to us, what are the return on investments, what is the good, the bad, and the reality. I don't want to go ugly, let's go reality. I'm going to share a few powerful moments and our plans for the future. So, our why, Buckeye. We're the 5th fastest growing city in the nation. And anybody here in Phoenix? When I say this, please don't take offense. It's kind of a fact here. We actually are larger than you in landmass. Okay? In fact, if you set Buckeye on its side, this beautiful image here, and you go from our city hall, set it on its side, it's 50 miles from north to south. Our city hall, set on its side, would go all the way out to Mesa. We're huge, and we're pretty much a blank slate. And we also know that 90% of cities are built on small businesses. So we know we need to be working with them. We also know that we have 11 school districts throughout the 640 plus square miles that we serve. We also know that in our recent study, we're seeing that by 2040, we're going to have over 320,000 people. When I started teaching out there in 2000, there was a sign that said, "Welcome to Buckeye, 5,500. Okay? We're going to have growth happening. But currently, with that many people, we still only have 2 libraries. We only have this amount of staff, full-time, part-time. I think it's 18, I might be off. There's our problem. How do we meet these people's needs while still growing this fast? Okay? And with today's technology, there's a lot of ways to do it. So look at a little bit more research. So if we know that what our current status is in the world today with virtual engagement, if we know what's happening in our world, we can better adapt or approach, I should say, the solution. So here's one. This stat, this came out in US News last year. 47 colleges, and then this happened in 2016. In 2016, 6.3 million students signed up for at least one online class through 4,700 colleges. That stat was gathered with the fact that for 14 years, it had been happening consecutively growth. So in the last 2 years, do you think that number went up or down? Up. I've heard high school kids now taking college classes online because they're tired, they're bored, they want to move on. They're starting to take it online now. It is going up. So what do we do with a fact like that? In 2018, there's people starting to look, and of course research, anybody can research something, and new research says another thing, and I don't know, forget the year when tomatoes were good for you, another year they were bad. But there is a lot of different parts where they talk about the essential digital skills, and there are some skills that continue to remain very constant. But this one done by Brown Keep was in United Kingdom. They started to look and really dissect what's happening out there. These type of things of how we handle information and content. How are we communicating? Or communication is a key essential. Our kids need to know these things. They need to know how to do transact. How do they transact online? How do they talk online? Not just kids, adults. How are we problem solving? And how are we being safe while we do all this? Now we look at kids, again, well, just right now, I love the problem solving here. We're going to do something in just a moment. And we couldn't get the tech to work because it was a safety lock of making sure that camera couldn't come on. But these are very important things that we need to be looking at and thinking about. Because when we go back to what's the purpose of a library in today's modern world, what's our purpose with virtual engagement? Well, gosh, let's start looking at these things. Let's start communicating. Well, we know in this world, the businesses that are hiring, they want you to know how to handle information. They're going to want you to be able to problem solve, to do it online with their company that's across the ocean. So if we know that that's what they're wanting them to do, let's start talking to them that way. Let's start programming to them that way. So that when they're ready, they're like, oh yeah, I've done that. I've done that and that other thing. Because in a world, we know this, we don't even need a research quote on this one. Every one of you has probably stated this. In a world where people have the ability to access experts, professionals, and leaders from around the world, when we live in that world, we probably need to teach how to work that world. So, our solution, we are going to break down, we love to refer to this, we got this through a Kauffman grant we did through ASU in our partnership. We identified that we want to break down the barriers of time, distance, and money. Because we believe that really helps us address those issues. And when I looked at that, when I worked in the schools, do you know what the 3 biggest barriers we ever faced in the schools were? Time, distance, money. We want to go to a field trip. Oh, we don't have time. It's too far away, and oh, by the way, it's going to cost. Okay. So I'm going to take you on a virtual field trip in my classroom. And that's what I used to do with my students. And so those barriers are the same wherever we go. And if we can break down these barriers of time, distance, and money, we go with the philosophy that we have out in Buckeye, that you'll come into our Coyote branch, bigger than day up on the ceiling. Let's go inspire, engage, and connect. And that's how we can go ahead and get them. And how do we do this? These are some of the basic areas. We're doing our online Facebook groups. We're doing training videos with 24/7 digital resources and our online digital library. But as I mentioned, we want to start showing this in the world. I'm going to go ahead. I think I can go back. Actually, I might have. Sorry, I'm messing up your video now, huh? Oh, there we go. And we'll come back to our let's see, right here. Sorry, with the training videos, online digital library, I'm going to come back to those and show those in a moment. But we want to be demonstrating how we do this to our patrons, because if they see it, they'll get an idea for their business, for their program, for their classroom. And so one of those, I do want to go off this here real quick. Today, instructors need to be learning how to assume the role as an energizer and supervisor, and not so much as the transmitter of information. So in virtual engagement, it's not about us saying, let me give you the answers to this test, or let me give you just the facts. We get to, and especially our teachers in the classrooms that we're encouraging them to do, become that energizer. Go ahead and show them, oh my gosh, did you know we do this? You're going to see an example of something Jesse helped our Storytime people do. It was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And so if we can energize them, all of a sudden, what does that do?
Empowers them.
It empowers them. Excellent. What else does it do? They're empowered. Who wants to, or add to that?
Engaged.
Right. And that fear that existed a few minutes prior, like, I've never done that, I haven't seen that, what if it blows up? What if it goes viral? What if something happens and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm good, I'll be over here. Versus we're sitting there and something amazing is happening. It's like, this is kind of cool, and oh my God, I survived that. That was neat. Hey, that's me on the camera. Even it's this basic thing from the library that they get. Now imagine that person taking that same thing later in their company or in their class. Oh, here, let's do it in their classroom. Liberty District, which was right in Buckeye, read in the paper this morning. You take that seed of an idea, then all of a sudden you have a classroom of kids sitting on the floor Skyping in with an astronaut last week before spring break. Virtual engagement. Time, distance, money. Time, we have it, you're here at the school. Distance, just sit down in the cafeteria, we'll put on the video for you. Money, it's free. Time is setting it up, emailing the astronaut. We go from, oh my gosh, that's an actual technology, to here's what I can do with it. So it empowers them, absolutely, and engages them. We become the energizers. So, let's lead by example. And let me go over here. What I'd like to do today, and I've asked a few of our business people if they're around this morning, we're going to go ahead and lead by example, and I'm going to go ahead and actually go live with what we use. It's called Grow Buckeye Eon, and we actually film our guest lectures whenever they come in. So those who can't make it can still hear it, or they can engage with it, or we have it for archive purposes. And so we use Grow Buckeye Eon. Again, MacGyver style, not pretty, not perfect, but at least we're connecting and we're engaging. So I'm going to go live with these guys. And actually, one of the things too, I'm not sure if it's going to, I do have it here. And Jesse, is there any way you think that it'll go up on the screen, or do I need to do anything else?
Should.
Or maybe when I hit go live? I'll go live. You're going to also, by the way, I'll prep you on. I've already prepped them a little bit. I would like you each to have an opportunity to say hello, what library you're from, and a business resource you offer, or a different resource. Maybe it's something different you're like really proud about, but if you have a business resource that you offer, teach them. So it's actually a 2-for-1 deal for me, FYI. Not only do I get to demonstrate, you're going to help my people. So please and thank you. Aha! There we go. This is great. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jesse. I love having a tech person. And I taught computers. But I love having a tech person around because I don't have to worry about that. This is great. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and give this a shot. Okay, and we are live, and today, Grow Buckeye Eon. We are actually not in the wonderful, great city of Buckeye today. We're actually in the great city of Phoenix, down at the Burton Barr Library. And I am here with, it's called the Tech Talk group, right?
Yeah.
And we are with wonderful librarians throughout the valley. And they're here, they're going to go ahead and give you a chance to, they're going to say hello. They're actually going to share, oh my gosh, Christian, hey buddy, how you doing? And Jesse's actually going to go ahead and respond. Christian is a young teen out in our valley trying to start a new arts program in consulting, and he's doing great work. And so we are actually going to go ahead. I'm going to get so sidetracked. Not great for a person who's like, yeah, bling. We're going to give you a chance, Grow Buckeye EM people, to hear from the librarians here. They're going to share who they are, what library they're from, and a business resource they have to offer. And the reverse, I'd love to have you guys at home share some value that you get from using Grow Buckeye Eon. We're talking about virtual engagement today. So I am going to go ahead, MacGyver style. Welcome, Christine. Good to see you. I'm going to go ahead and turn without breaking anything. There we go. Okay. Just remember, the first moon landing had a little bump, right? 20 years from now, wait till you see what it looks like. Okay, who'd like to go first?
Yeah. I'm Jesse Sims, the Library Technology Specialist with Buckeye Public Library. And were we saying one resource for small businesses?
Yeah, business resources is at your library.
Yeah, so we have Janene. She's our greatest business resource at the library. And I guess another one, Reference USA, that's a great small business resource as well.
Awesome. And just a plug, they're coming on the first Tuesday of April. Okay.
I'm Linda Kicker. I work here at Burton Barr in the Collection Development and E-Resources Department. And Burton Barr has the Hive, which is a walk-in place for entrepreneurs. They welcome people all the time and help you get started.
Awesome. That's a great program you have too. We were very, you mentored us.
Oh, good.
Okay. Well, the next person, and feel free to wave your hand. I can't get too close and I apologize.
Hi, I'm Robin Salthouse. I'm the Adult Services Supervisor Librarian at the Southeast Regional Library in Gilbert, Arizona, part of the Maricopa County Library District. And I guess what I'll add on to that is that we offer e-resources, including free digital downloads through Overdrive, Freeing, Hoopla, RB Digital, and why that's great for businesses is there's lots of free downloadable content in the form of books and audiobooks surrounding business subjects.
That's a great point, and that's huge because I do look for those motivational books. I'm glad you brought that up, Robin. Thank you. And I'm going to move just a little bit to see if I can do this. Sorry, guys at home. There we go. This should be better.
Hi, I'm Andrew Tucker. I'm the Communications Director for Maricopa County Library District. One of the other things we have is a GAL product called GAL Small Business Builder. And it is a great way for people thinking about business to starting their own small business, to kind of look at modules, think about the kind of things they need to do from a business planning perspective, economic, financial, all that sort of deal. And it gives them some basic building blocks, and so it's a great little resource.
Is that the one that's on my wish list, Jesse?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. Let's document that. I like that. We're going to talk.
Hi, good morning. My name is Rob Scott. I'm the Digital Marketing Officer at the Maricopa County Library District. I work with Robin and Andrew. One resource that we offer is Career Transitions. This tool helps job seekers with their resume and their cover letter when they're looking for a job or preparing to enter the job market.
That is an awesome database. That's a cool one. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Martinez. I'm a librarian here at Phoenix Public Library. In addition to Hive, they offer an 8-week program called Business Roadmap, also MAPA in Spanish, that provides entrepreneurs a chance to learn how to grow their business, start a business.
That's awesome. Again, a great program here at Phoenix, and to those at home, just a reminder, if you ever want to come down here and take advantage of this, there's some great workshops and things that you guys do. It's very impressive, helping a lot of people.
I'm Kathleen Sullivan with the Phoenix Public Library. I'm the collection manager here. And what I want to emphasize is we also have a great number of magazines on a number of different platforms, including a lot of business magazines to help investors, to help people who are in business or want to get an idea of the general field of business. Those are exciting, and all you need is a library card for Phoenix Public Library to use them at home. You don't have to come on in. And the same is true with Maricopa County. Anybody in the county can get a card with the Maricopa County Libraries and use the resources they have too. So
what do they need to do to get a card?
What do they need to do to get? Tell them.
You need a valid ID with proof of address in Maricopa County.
Oh, just in Maricopa County. So if they live in Buckeye,
Yeah.
if they're in Maricopa County, they can get a card with y'all.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
We also have an e-card that you can apply online, but we tell people it's not a guarantee because it goes through if you've recently moved.
Well, I encourage a road trip and field trip at any point in time. Virtual engagement's good, but in person's good too. Come check out this awesome library. Cool.
Hi, my name is Yasmina Yusich, and I'm a branch manager at the Phoenix Public Library. And the resource I'd like to highlight is Dream Builder. So it's an online tool that people can use to create a business plan. It walks them through all the steps, so it's a pretty good resource.
It's a great program. There's even videos on there, including from people here in Arizona that are local business owners. I met one of them one day, and then I did Dream Builder, and they're like, I know you. That's so cool. I'm glad you brought that up. That is a great resource.
My name is Aaron Roscoe. I am the technology librarian for the city of Peoria. Outside of some of the same ones that you all have been talking about, one of the things we are is in the season partnership with ASU with a program called Peoria Forward, and it's offering a set of business seminars for the public to come in and learn how to start business and whatnot. We're actually right in the midst of them, and they're housed at both our branches. So.
That's cool. And if your website's going, that's with Kristen. Is that Kristen Slice doing that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. She's dynamic. So guys, go check that out. Not that I'm trying to send you away from Buckeye, but gosh, go check out these places. I'll see you at some point.
I'm Terry Ingebretson. I'm library manager / volunteer coordinator. And we offer opportunities with volunteering. Our model's a little different. We have about 120 volunteers that work at our small library. And there's just various opportunities with working CERT desk to helping out with major programs and working in our bookstore.
Nice.
Which library? Desert Foothills Library.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was going to say, did I miss that one? But yeah, live and breathe on those volunteers. A lot of, for our program, all of our guest speakers and the ones that do the virtual engagement, they're all volunteers. So they share their wealth of knowledge. It's great.
Hello, I'm Ashley Ware. I'm the programming librarian at Desert Hills Library with Terry. Like she said, our model is different because we're actually a nonprofit instead of your typical public library. So we offer different capabilities. We do room rentals with businesses all the time. So you get to come and speak about the gifts that you have to give to the community and bring brand awareness to our 6,000 active patrons. So you get the chance to actually speak with the people and be around people while also volunteering and engaging with your community.
That's awesome. We need to talk.
Yes.
That's a really cool concept.
It's weird, but it's fascinating.
It's a great one.
All right, my name is Alex Cebulski. I'm with Phoenix Public Library at the Ocotillo branch, and it's the Ocotillo Library and Workforce Literacy Center. So the big thing that we have is we have a mandate to help the community with workforce literacy and getting them set up for jobs. So we have employers come in regularly to meet library patrons and do interviews, offer positions. We have regularly things posted. We have employer engagement series. So we have a whole bunch of different things in the building. And then anytime we're open, people can come in and work on resumes, cover letters, do trainings. We have interviewing skills, job hunting for folks over 50, all sorts of different classes and such.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. And I love it. And I'm going to turn this back so you guys don't get any more seasick out there as you meet them. What I love about that too, when we talk about business, sometimes people are like, oh, well, we're not doing a startup. And but remember, it's not always about doing the startup businesses. It's about making the connections with businesses out there who are looking to hire. That's still supporting your economic development in that sense. So some great work that's being done. And I am scrolling down, I saw that we did have a bunch of other people on here, which was great. Doreen, it was great to see you. Danielle, I think you had to get back to work because you actually do virtual engagement online, which is great. But it was cool to see her. Can't say but happy to see this, watching from afar. Some different people, as you can see, when they chime in and they'll be able to review back. And let me just put it out there and see. I want to respect our time, but please share with us about your experience with virtual engagement with Buckeye. Eon. So I'm going to place it out there. We won't stick around and see if they write right away, but we'll come back. I'm going to let it kind of go for a little, or actually we'll see with them responding. But to allow that immediate connection, to allow all of you to teach, and actually I do want to apologize, I'm feeling a little bit bad right now. I think we got more out of that than, because we got all of your stuff. Like, this was great. This has been a good mini workshop. And again, still getting some more comments on there, but what I'm going to do, because I want to respect your time, we'll come back and see if there's any, or I'll let Jesse know too, how many views by the next time he meets you, how many comments back and what types of comments were made. We'll get some more feedback on that virtual engagement. But I'm going to go ahead and end for everybody out there. Hopefully you're having a great day, a wonderful, innovative day, and we'll see you later. Don't forget your special Facebook classes tonight if you're signed up. Otherwise, we'll see you next week at Customer Discovery, Thursday night with John Rico. See you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end that. And we're done. I now have an archived one that if I have people saying what are the resources out there, I now get to actually go ahead and refer them back. Again, it's during the workday, so a lot of people are probably working. But this is our site, just to give you an idea. This is where we go live from, but it's also, we've been doing it for about 2 years now. We have all our videos, you are now archived in there. We also place all of our events here. The other thing are the files. If we ever have any PowerPoints, presentations, or handouts, we are putting them on here. So if you can't make it, it's okay. Go use this stuff. And we do have people downloading, using it. We have them watching the videos, or they're connecting back with us. So what I'm showing you, you've probably all seen. You've probably all used. And so that's where I was telling Jesse, I'm like, do they really want me there? Are you sure? But I think it's important to point out the part that, let me backtrack a little bit. We did the grant to get this, and I kept smiling and laughing because it was a great grant. It was awesome, and I was like, I need to make sure people understand. No, we did not get the grant to say, let's start a Facebook group. Because we all know, you all know, all you have to do is go to Facebook, hit a button, say create a group, and here we go.
And if you'd rather me wait, that's fine.
No, please, go ahead.
While we're on Facebook and you're actually asking these questions, so I considered Facebook as a virtual platform for programming. However, it was at a time when, what was it, last fall, Facebook was not being seen as an ideal platform because of privacy and trolling, things like that. And then, case in point, yesterday when things blew up. So what if I'd had a program yesterday? What would you have done had you had a program? So if you could answer, those are two questions.
And I've had it happen before, not because the trolls are blowing up, just because technology did not want to work.
Sure.
So 2 things. It is not our end all. It is just an additional tool. It is that extra tool that if things work, life is great. Otherwise, I will be in this room at this time on this date. Those who want to join me in person, this is where I'll be at. But as an added bonus, if you can't make it because you're 25 miles away, or this is happening or that's happening, you can chime in. And if it doesn't happen, we still actually, here's another thing, we actually still record it. I've had it happen twice where I still did a record, and after I get it done, I did an upload for later posts. It just wasn't a live engagement.
Okay, but what about resistance? My first question to, because I think it might have been more generational.
Yep.
And do you find that?
Yeah, I actually start off, and I love this, I will start off to tell, we do our marketing classes, I will ask the questions, how many of you have a Facebook page? How many do you think raise their hand? Give me a guess.
Well, what's the ages? That's
ages, actually, I'll have between 18 all the way up to 65, 70. Majority are probably 45 years and older.
30%, I'd say then, maybe.
Yeah. Majority hands are down. Why do you think they don't have one?
Because they think it'll cost them something to be on Facebook.
Well, privacy.
It's privacy, it's I don't know how to do it, I'm afraid to use it. But what we have to teach our business people, if you need to go where the people are. You need to go where your customers are. Now, before I even tell them they have to get a page, and this is after our customer discovery classes, they're like, oh, I don't want to have a Facebook page, I don't want to do Facebook, it takes too much time. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not here to tell you to do one, but you get to answer that question. What question do they need to ask if they have to do one or not?
What's the value?
The value, and
How do you reach your customers without it?
right. But let's take it another step further. Who is your customer?
Oh.
And where do they hang out? If their customer doesn't have Facebook pages, do they have to create a page? They actually don't. And so that's the funny part too, is that everybody thinks they have to have a Facebook page. We actually tell them, you have to think through that. If your customer is a little bit more 14 to 18, 14 to 21, what type of virtual platform are they looking at?
Snapchat.
Then you get a whole different fear look in their eye, like, I'm like, see, Facebook doesn't look so bad now, does it? So we actually tell them they have to figure out what's the best way to reach that customer. Now, in today's age, if this is the way, they have to figure out how to do it. And they have to figure out how to do it safely. They have to figure out how to do it in a good way. They have to figure out the way to separate their personal life from the business life. And so we actually offer courses on that, or we connect with, like right now we're fortunate to have a grant through a company, Compass, who's doing a special Facebook workshops for us. So we bring in experts on that. But I do want to cover, you mentioned privacy. And that was a huge thing to me, because this grant that we got, okay, great, we know it's very easy to create a page. But we had to also ask, what's the why, what's the value? We had to get, and we'll see is the slide up here, but it talks about the policy and procedure shift too. We can't, as a city, just go say, hey, I want this page, I want that page. Everybody's like, yeah. They're like, we understand that. So we actually, the grant allowed us, though, to have a conversation. The grant allowed me to invite everybody, nonprofit, profit, city leadership. We had a library advisory board, we had the tech specialists, we had our businesses all at the table having the conversation with a professional facilitator that the grant let us hire. Then we brought another outside grant person to take all the data and disaggregate it and give us a recommended report. It wasn't me saying it. Of course, in the report, one of the 5 was, you need a social media platform. Do you know how great it was to be able to go to the powers to be and say, this is what the data is showing, and it's based off what our residents are wanting. They gave us the okay. In like 2 minutes, I had a page. But it was cool because we learned a lot from it. But the one other thing is the privacy part is, because it is very important to me, this is actually, I have a closed group. Not anybody can come. You have to be invited, or you have to request. And I actually will vet them. I have had a few trolls, and I have found them, and I disapprove them being in. And it's not a lot on my doc. I mean, maybe once a week, it's about 5, 6 different people I'm looking. Most of them I can go look, I can see where they're from, what business, I can just really get a quick snapshot. So we are patrolling. I've had in 2 years, I've had nothing, I haven't had added stuff I didn't want, I haven't had the negative comments. We're facilitating the academic side of this engagement. So by having that closed group, and that was one of the ways to keep it safe, that's what we did with that. So I'm not sure if that answers.
No, it does. And I just again wonder if you see, not just because of the digital divide or technology fear, but
Yeah.
if you just really don't see older people wanting to do it because of privacy, because of the hassle.
Absolutely. And by the way, the day that broke about Facebook last year, the day it broke, an hour when Mark Zuckerberg, when it went out and that whole thing happened, my marketing class was that night, an hour later. And I was like, okay. But you know what? I loved it. Because I was like, I get to now have a conversation. And now we get to address, here's our problem, now what's our solution?
Yeah.
And it's going to happen more times than not. It's going to continue happening. But for us, we got to look at it like any great tool and any great technology out there. We have to figure out how do we harness it for the good, how do we protect our patrons, and how do we. But also, what's great is we're educating them on the dangers, and so we get that. That's a purpose for us. So I love those questions. Those are great. And please, at any point, I won't spend too much time on it. What time do you need me done by? It's by 11 or yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but I am going to show this. This is in development. Actually, for my master's, my capstone, I'm developing an online digital library unit. We have 11 school districts, K-12. We want them using our digital resources. They actually have to know that they exist. So, and when they use it, what it is just making sure they know they have library cards. But they don't realize that that website on the back gets into all of this. So we're trying to train them. But who am I training?
Teachers.
Why?
Because the teachers are the ones who present the information to their kids and require the resources that maybe, hopefully, aren't just a book.
I am so tired in being a former teacher, sitting at the front desk, and having the kid come in and say, I need a book on, let's say, the Renaissance, on the Knights. It's like, great, here you go. What happens like 10 minutes later? I need a book. Oh, what's going on? There's a book report. It's on the Renaissance and on the Knights. Okay, well, both of our books just went out the door. Now what? And it's funny because when I show them the digital resources, and I show them all this content, Britannica and Gale, they're like, oh, that's amazing. Do you know what their follow-up comment is, though?
Teacher says I can't use it. Right.
Why?
Because it's not a book.
It's not a book. And not only just not a book, it's not a book with how many pages? It has to be a book with 100 pages. So I've actually, part of my job with education outreach when I train our teachers, I'm trying to train them on the why. Why do you want them researching? Why do you want them getting that info from the library? Is it because you want them to get a book that's 100 pages? Or do you want them to learn what the library has, where to find information, how to cite it, how to make sure they know it's not their info? Is that your purpose? And usually the answer is yes. Okay, then why require them to read a full 100-page book? Why not start taking them to these locations? So this here is in development right now. What it is, I have lessons set up. I have videos to show them how to access our digital resources, why to access them, how they can help. And then we also have, I created some web quests that can go ahead and help them kind of think through these things to try to figure out, now how do I make it into a lesson plan? And we've done it for about 9 of our core ones, including Gale and Britannica. Because if we can teach our kids now to use this virtual engagement platform, when they get older and they start to go for jobs and they want to find a job, well, they already know where to go to look to start helping. They don't know that now. Andrew?
Two quick questions.
Yeah.
One is when you're making this pitch to the schools or to the teachers, Are you doing that like on a school-by-school basis? Are you talking to the district, or how are you doing that?
To start with, like any good research starting up, I'm like going to a few different people. Having been in the schools, I do know several of the principals. It's in the area that I used to teach. I've been able to have a dialogue with them, and they're like, whatever teachers you need, go ahead. But we've been asking to do teacher trainings, and we're now pushing back now if they say, will you come and teach my kids? No, I have done it. I've even done it where I showed up and the teacher never showed. She literally sent her class to me. I'm like, they're not going to require. So it is now more, but as I move forward, especially with the rolling out of this, I'm going top down. I'm starting with administration down to where they can then say these teachers are going to train on it, and then then they have the expectation their teachers are using it.
And so then the follow-up to that is, what do the students need to be able to access this, and how do you get them connected?
Absolutely. And in one of the, let me just go here real quick. Oh, I just figured this right here. So we can test the volume. So this is one of the videos that I've worked on putting together. My major was actually documentary filming, so it's always fun to actually do something you went to school for.
Transform both your physical libraries and your digital libraries. Recognizing learning takes place 24/7, and there's a need to break the barriers of time, distance, and money, your Buckeye Public Library System is committed to providing 24/7 online digital library resources to help you and your students learn and have safe, vetted, and easy to use
There's my
resources
why.
that are high in quality and content, and best of all, are free. All you need is a digital device connected to the
Oh my gosh, I was trying to pause. Well, let's go see this now. This happens too. Okay, I so apologize.
The video's not playing up here either, Janene.
All you need is a digital.
That's okay. So for more for you though, I just realized that it's not okay for y'all. I apologize. So what it's showing, just FYI, is that it shows you what you need: your laptop, your digital devices, your internet. And so they have in every video up front, this is what you need. We do talk to the schools, find out. I would say 85, you've already done a needs analysis. About 85% of the schools we work with have all the major things they need. The one thing they're missing though?
Library card.
Thank you. You guys are really good at answering. Okay, I'm going to stop going to those videos. I apologize, except for one at the end.
Yeah, my question was really more pointed towards the card itself. I know you don't need a card to use all of those resources, but if part of the goal is to get them using it earlier in their school career.
Huge push.
Yeah.
We've been doing it since I came on. That was one of the reasons that brought me on. My education background. In fact, when I got hired, I probably should have been fired the first day. They're like, when they said, yes, we're going to hire you, I'm like, really? I acted surprised, and probably the worst thing you should do when you're offered a job. But the thing is, like, you're going to run our entrepreneurship program and be a librarian. I'm like, okay, well, one, I'm not a librarian, nor am I an entrepreneur. Never, yeah. And so, but my boss's response back was, I love it, and I love working for Janene White, because she's this innovative, she thinks differently and very innovatively. And her point was, in today's world, in the library, and the way we're changing, she goes, yes, I need librarians, I need this, but I have that. What I need is somebody who knows education, somebody who knows the schools, somebody who knows how to do the training, how to develop training, and how to figure out how we put these things together, because that's the way our world is going. So my job was to go in and start working with schools to teach them, but then what we realized, they're missing a major tool, and that's where we've really been doing pushes to outreach, start of the year, every field trip. I'll go and reach out to a teacher, they're like, oh, no, we're good, and by the time we get done with this is what we do, they're like, so I can still get an application card for my kids? We make it very easy for them to do it in the classroom, send us those applications back, and get them back to the teachers since they've already vetted through the signatures and the parents' stuff. We work with them. I don't know if that answers. Sorry,
No,
sometimes I go a long way around.
No, it does, and I may pick your brain later about that.
Let's talk, and who knows, we can get an even better, easier system. Get an ad. I was like, why don't we have a commercial out there about library cards?
The gals over there can probably talk to this better, but the Phoenix Public Library does a great library card campaign where they work really hard for a month on getting people
over here.
Yeah, it's an amazing library card campaign. We've done it for years now.
Awesome.
And we used to have our goal one, where we used to go to all the first grades, but that was 10 years ago after the recession. But so now we have an amazing library campaign that's in September and October, and we go out to schools and we hit K through, really through 8th grade really, and just push out cards.
What month do you do it?
But it's about September.
Awesome.
September, October, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So we tie it into like events, getting them coming in for tours, getting
Brilliant.
cards, and then we're able to track those cards and everything.
It's a whole campaign. I'll have to check that out. That's,
Well,
yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, the other big
Somebody better respond.
The other big part of it is that we're able to get kids back in the library who
Yes.
have fines and things like that. So we're
Yes.
able to get rid of a lot of the fines.
The George Costanza thing, if you ever watch Seinfeld.
But
right?
basically, yeah.
The conundrum.
And half the time it's, things were racked up when the kid was 6,
Yeah.
or they're, 50 Shades of Grey for
Yeah.
the 7-year-old who realized perhaps was not their responsibility. So we are able to do that, and that gets a lot more than back in the building.
Yeah, and keep it going. And so, yeah, and that's the thing. If they don't have that tool, we can't go forward with a lot of what we do. We talked about this part. I'll just start going through. I'm going to fly through a few of these. Who we do it for our business classes, our education. We talked about that. I do it for scholarship workshops now. Because again, these are populations of people when they have a choice. Do I go out on Saturday and hang out outside in the spring weather, or do I go to a scholarship workshop inside the library? Spring weather's looking mighty nice, right, Maricopa? You guys got to walk down here today in the nice weather. We do it for special programs. Up here was one of my favorites. The traveling Vietnam Wall had come, and he had been in the Vietnam War, had done some amazing things. He gave a speech, and we were able to do it online, especially for people who couldn't make it out. We sent them the link to those organizations or groups that had wanted that, and so we were able to do that. Got our business one. This one here, this is one that Jessie did, story time with Nancy, helped her. Where was she from, Canada?
She was from Canada, and we FaceTimed her in, and she played music for the kids. She writes her own kids songs. She's really good and very engaging. And the kids loved it, and it was really just, a little bit of setup, and now they get exposure to, a really talented artist creating kids' music.
And I think the thing, remember, virtual engagement, sometimes there's a misconception that it's one digital device to another. Here, we can actually have that program happening. Majority of what we do is the program is happening, we're just adding that extra element with the engagement from somebody farther away who otherwise we wouldn't have access to. That's our Reference USA doing their really cool workshop, our scholarships up there. Resources we need, technology, the basics, laptops. I usually when I do it, I have one doing the viewing and then one doing the monitoring. I'm sure there's an easier, better way. The optional, if you want external, does. We actually bring a Wi-Fi because our economic development is one of our partners. They got us a Wi-Fi, which is great because our bandwidth was kind of getting it chopped up, and it has helped out immensely. Software, of course, Facebook Live. We do use OBS. We have researched. We have asked. We've talked to ASU. We've talked to the tech companies that this is kind of what they do. They're like, sometimes I get the response back, oh, good question. If you find out, let us know. No! But right now, OBS is what we use to share the screen, to show what the presenter's showing and what we're doing. It is a little bit complex, so we're just trying to find an easier way. WeVideo is what we create our videos in. Jessie found that. It's $40 a year. It's amazing. And and a website to host, that's to put your material, the permission for that to happen. Staff time is always huge as far as resources go. We are having to develop, we have to investigate and learn, we have to execute it and everything else. That's why I did add a different one down there. The other resources have a Jessie. Have a tech person you can talk to. So these are some of the key main resources, but very minimal. Of course we can get more, we just have to know what is the more that we need to do it right. The return on the investment. Here's some examples. We need to remember that virtual engagement is providing the opportunity for people to connect who can't attend the program. These are two examples. Danielle, she actually chimed in today. Hi guys, not feeling well, so happy to watch from home. She was watching our finance, how to get her budget going. Lola King, I love that one. She was in with us. This is great. Lola came in our beginning. This is a couple years later. She's still following, still doing stuff. We asked a question, she's like, I'm already doing that, but light bulbs are flashing in a good way. So this is happening while the speaker's there, and I love it. This was our first Facebook Live we ever did. What I love about this one, we got John monitoring. We have one of our entrepreneurs who decided to watch it in-house just for fun. But what happened is, he also then did some welcome and started talking to Tanya. Tanya was 300 miles away. Her business requires them to do a lot of traveling. But I love this. I saw this, like, Sean went ahead and welcomed Tanya, did a really sweet thing. He's like, Sean, did you know her? He's like, no, I just wanted to be hospitable and make her feel welcome. I was like, that moment I realized the community we were creating. It gave me chills. And so that's a huge thing to be watching for. It makes people feel inclusive and welcome. It helps people experience and become accustomed to that tech. We talked about that earlier. Make sure they see what's out there. And it helps them learn about new ways of communicating and obtaining knowledge, but then also delivering that knowledge. We did do this at an outreach event. I like to call it the kindergarten kid. I challenge you to imagine a kindergartner and what they look like 18 years from now and what tech they're using. Imagine if we start exposing them to technologies today that we have access to. What happens when they get to be 18 and in college? And the reason we do this, Jesse and I were at that one day, and we had the kindergartner teachers, and they were just adamant they did not want to do any of this. We're like, do you realize textbooks are now all online? We're just showing you an ebook. Read along. That's all we're showing you. So challenging you like that way. ALA, this was a wonderful quote from Audrey Church. If students are to succeed in college, career, and community, they must master digital literacy skills and be able to work successfully in a digital environment. Is that a good purpose for us to help these kids with that? I think so, and I think we have the solutions. There are the good, there's the bad, and there's the reality. The good, reaching people who can't do it or can't come out to it. Providing alternative ways when they can't make it. I feel like I shouldn't read all these. How about, are you guys want to look at this? Any pop out to you? Let's do that.
I think we should talk about some of the challenges, because that's a very common thing that can be that roadblock that if you're not accepting of might discourage you from pursuing this further.
Absolutely. And when you look over here in what I've started realizing, the bad and the reality kind of commingled. So these challenges can't keep up with the tech. And apparently nobody else can when you add that question out there, like what's going on. Figuring out how to train others to do it so it's not relied. If anything happened to Jesse or I, or we went different ways, no way should we be building a program that if the person leaves, the program fails. We have to figure out the sustainable model for that. So that's a challenge. Raise your hand. Well, you don't have to raise your hand, we're on camera. Answer in your head. Do existing policies and procedures put roadblocks for you? Okay? They do, they exist, but we then have to have that conversation or figure that part out. This probably should have gone on the ugly. Oh, look, it did. Imagery is not perfect, as you saw today, but they're accepting of it for now. But how long will they be accepting? We have to keep progressing forward. We know the not knowing, there's my MacGyver style, I've talked a little bit about that. Cost and time, especially staff time, that does require staff time. And it requires the willingness to let staff kind of imagine and test and try and error to fail, to succeed. It's a business concept. And so technology is always advancing. And then this is an interesting one too. Attendance. Ever since starting to Buckeye Eon, it's great, but I've also watched my attendance of my class kind of drop. And so I've had to come to terms and figure out, and I'm still right now, I'm reinventing some new stuff, and I'm really thinking, how do I bring value when a lot of my people are also finding the value just from watching the videos and getting what they need from home. It's a good and bad thing. And if they get what they need, it's great. But this is a conversation you have to figure out and or start realizing, how do we count this for our data? I do submit my Facebook data to our numbers people and say, this is how many videos we did, this is how many people watched, here's how many engagements. And so we are starting to collect that data, and that becomes a reality that we need to look at. But definitely the technology has been a barrier. It's been tough. And so I know it could be further, and that's why we need to be talking, we need to be brainstorming and figuring all that out. Any other thoughts on here? Or? Technology presents new ways for students to think about their learning, express their ideas, and problem solve. We have the ability to expose them to that. It's a purpose for the library. We know cultural and policy shifts need to occur where developing information literacy in teachers and pupils is valued and where school library staff can effectively contribute. Take out the word school and put librarian, put students, put patrons. Okay, this is true to everybody we serve. So this, as we kind of wrapping up here, powerful moments. One of my favorite ones, this gentleman right here has a nonprofit in Africa, and it's a philanthropy. And the students got to know him very well. These are my youth entrepreneurs. They got to know him very well during the 2 weeks I was with him. They're like, hey, can we Skype with him? Like, let me see. So I emailed him the night before our last night of class, like, hey, Jamie, do you have time? And I was like, told the secretary, make time, make it work. I'm going to Skype. This right here is happening in Uganda, Africa. He was on his way in to meet with the president of Uganda. I only know this, I was very fortunate. That is my brother. I take great pride in him. But I talked to my brother, and I love the fact he is global, because when we can go ahead and do some connecting, and he took time out of his schedule, but I loved it when he told the kids. And they realized, and I'll tell you, at least 4 of these kids, the farthest they have ever been is Glendale, Arizona. They talked with him, they got to ask him questions, and they realized there's people out there who are willing to just stop what they're doing and take time for them. It was powerful. This one here, that's Delia Gomez. She was with SBA. She was 50 miles away. Budgets were tight at that point with SBA, and we couldn't keep having her come out, do a 100-mile round trip. We said, would you like to learn how to do the Skyping, which they weren't doing. Jesse worked with her. We got her hooked up on Skype. And this gentleman right here, Jose, 2 years, he has had a huge business problem. He couldn't figure out this problem with how to get his business started legitimately and legally. And he did have a bilingual a language barrier. All of a sudden, she starts speaking Spanish to him, and it was going back and forth, and people were laughing, and he's smiling. My 4 years of German did not help me, but I knew something good was happening. What I found out, she was answering the question he has had for 2 years that he could never get anybody else to answer. All because we gave them a virtual engagement platform. This one, we can't see the video. What this is basically Ronnie B. She got her LLC that night at the meetup. We put it on camera, and then we put it on our community. All these people, a lot of them don't even know Ronnie, started to congratulate her and let her know, hey, this is awesome, way to go. This is our first night going live. These are some of them. There's Tanya 300 miles away. Here's somebody down in Sonora, Mexico, chiming in. But this one I love the most. This person, I don't know her, I've never met her. Thanks for doing it live. I missed the live part, but was able to catch it later. Extremely helpful to be able to catch you when I can. Thanks again. You never know who you're going to impact when you allow the opportunity to happen. They have found purpose with us as a library on this platform. What are we going to do? We're going to figure out better technology to make it more professional. We're going to find out ways to share the screen. I'm going to put that out there. I want better ways, better tech. We want to figure out how to mainstream that process so that it doesn't require me or Jesse to be in that room. We want everybody to be looking at this. We want to figure out ways to have multiple people at one time. We want to do like Google Hangout style, but what do we do in our house? And collaborate with other libraries. Hello. Anybody up to it? We're here. To share engaging virtual content. Because imagine if 2 of you guys did that and I did that. And my people can watch your program. How many programs do we now have? Triple. How many did I have to plan?
One.
That doesn't sound too bad, does it? Work smarter, not harder. I am lazy by trade. Okay? And produce high quality videos that really do meet our program goals and starting to embed it in more of our programs. Mark Pransky coined the phrase digital native in 2001. Anybody born in an age where they didn't know a world without technology, computers, video games, internet, or advancing technologies. For you in the room with virtual engagement, I challenge you need to be thinking that these digital natives, they are our current students that we work with, but they are also our future teachers, they are our future parents, and they're future library users. So what are we going to do with them? And what purpose do we bring to them? We have to rethink our why. We have to rethink our how in approaching our digital natives. And because as customers, they're beginning with this virtual engagement, what are we doing with them? Mark writes, today's students are no longer the people our education system was designed for. Get rid of the word educational system. What are you going to put there?
Library system.
So if it now reads, today's students are no longer the people our library systems was designed for. What will you do to change that? What can we do to change that, to give it that purpose? What's your library's purpose? What's our purpose? And this is my final one. I love this quote. I use it in all that whenever I present. Bad libraries build collections. Good libraries build services. Great libraries build communities. And so I leave you with the question and pose this to you. What type of community can we create together to create that virtual engagement community in what we're doing? So, sorry I went a little over,
Oh, you're
but
good.
hopefully it's what you wanted. If not,
You want to do some Q&A?
we can totally do some Q&A.
All right. Anybody have any questions? I know I have some.
Well, as the collection manager, this sucks. No.
That's fair, that's fair.
No, I agree 100%. And I find it interesting with studies like out of the Pew groups and so on, they say, well, kids really don't want to read ebooks in their leisure time and so on. And I'm going, what? Because I love ebooks that I carry around in my pocket. And I carry around 2 or 3 or 4 books because I don't know what I'm going to feel like reading right then.
Right.
And so sometimes I feel there's this disconnect because we see how, millions of uses of our downloadable materials every year, and yet the research out there seems to say, no, no, no. Where does that come from?
And that's a good discussion to have. I will confirm we hear it too. When I work with the teens or the youth, it's funny because they're like, they want the book. They still want to hold it. We still hear that. But it's also the part, we have to figure out a nice blend of it. I always also finish all of my outreach whenever I'm teaching the services we have. We just did one at a retirement community. We always end with, oh, by the way, we do have books. They're not going anywhere. The books aren't going anywhere. They are still needed. They're still wanted. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but the part too that we have to watch, it's a healthy balance of both. We just need to make sure those kids are also learning about those digital platforms. Like, I'd rather you, if you're doing a research paper, I'd rather you go on Britannica, look up the solar system, and then read about it and find that link in there and say, but Pluto no longer is a planet, with a link to Pluto that jumps them now to that info. So now they're starting to do that wonderful research that it was meant to be. But they still have access to those books. We just have to make sure we're training on both.
I read a statistic just recently that said 40% of people who read books only read books. But to me that meant 60% of book readers read in other formats. And I keep thinking there's a tipping point there. I agree with you. I don't think books are going anywhere, but I think in terms of our budgets, where we put our money, what kinds of things we buy, there are things we really have to pay very close attention to.
Well, it's like, and I told Jesse, when you build your collection, that's what we have to see. Be asking, and it's the same thing if we said customers, where do they hang out? Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Your customers, where do they hang out? Book-wise. And Jesse and my boss have been very awesome too with business books. They're like, hey, whatever you need, let us know, or we'll